every time. That piece of choreography blows me away. I almost feel like I am in the future of where TXT is in their journey right now, and I'm able to like relay information from the future. Hello, Claire Bears. Welcome back for part 2 of my reaction to TXT's latest album, the name chapter FREEFALL. If you missed part 1, where I reacted to Growing Pains as well as the music video and dance practice for Chasing That Feeling, you can check out part 1 right here. But for part 2, we are going to be reacting to Back for More all the way to Happily Ever After. And in terms of content that I will be reacting to, it is mostly lyric videos, but for our next song, which is the Back for More TXT version, I'll be reacting to the stage from their comeback showcase for this album, because one, this is a song that I have heard before and I reacted to the music video, so if you would like to see that reaction, again, I will put a card up here. So I am super curious to see what makes this the TXT version. Obviously, of course, then it being without Anita. Like, is this going to be in Korean, for example? Or is their verse that replaced Anita's verse going to be in Korean? I guess we're going to find out, but first I'm going to refresh my beverage of the day. I have my reusable wine bottle here to replenish and keep my Prosecco nice and cold. For some reason, I cannot do lukewarm wine. It has to be cold, 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 or else like, bleh, can't do it. Ah, that's better, nice and cold. So here we go with the Back for More TXT version stage from their comeback showcase. I like the matching outfits. I feel like rarely, if ever, do we get matching outfits in K-pop. Normally everyone wears like a similar theme, but something slightly different, you know? I guess upon closer inspection, their jackets look a little different. I like the fringe though. Oh, so it's like a fixed camera. Ooh. Oh. Gosh, every time that piece of choreography blows me away. I love that choreography, it's so great. Okay. Oh. Ooh, that like harmony. I feel like I'm gonna have to look at the lyrics for that one part. And maybe listen to a lyric video just so I can hear it a bit better. Oh, here come the backup dancers. So is this kind of like MJ part going to be in the song? Because I know it's in the music video, but not in the actual song. Like the Spotify version, at least. Yes. That was a lot of fun. But yes, I do want to take a closer listen to the new verse from TXT. And I have to say, these photos here that are used for this lyric video are interesting. I feel like that doesn't even look like Yeonjun, and Hyunin Kai just looks shocked. But anyways, let's listen to the verse. Yeah, I like that harmonization with himself. So we don't got none of the issues that people got. Keep it on some of the same waves we keep it on. None of that stuff to make you dependent on. Holy cow. That must have been a mouthful for Yeonjun recording the song. And it seems like the MJ dance break is in this song. Because, like, for example, in Blue Hour, that cool MJ dance break that they have is not in the version that's on Spotify. So I like that they've included it in the TXT version. I have to say, I'm not too sure which version I prefer. I'm going to have to listen to the TXT version more. But I do think that Anita brings an interesting mix to Back for More. Her verse, it kind of shifts things up a little bit, because, you know, sometimes it feels like features, the person can just feel a little bit like shoehorned in, but I don't know, it does feel like two different songs. Sometimes if there's like a normal, I'm thinking of On, for example, from BTS, if there's the OG version with just BTS and then they had the Sia version, it's almost like a meme within ARMY of the Sia version of On, of it being almost like borderline unlistenable. But I definitely do not feel that way about the Anita version of Back for More. And these two versions almost feel like two different songs, which I think is a good thing, because sometimes you find yourself either listening to one version or the other, but I could easily see myself listening to both versions equally, which is what I feel like what you want if you're going to be having a feature and then doing just only the OG group. So I'm really glad about that. And then I'm also glad about having only heard the TXT version, that, you know, in hindsight, Anita doesn't feel shoehorned into the original. Those are my feelings. Perhaps Moa feels differently. If so, let me know down in the comments. But okay, let's move on to our next song on this album here, which is Dreamer. So again, from Melon via TXT Wiki, Dreamer is an R&B and soul genre song. Oh my goodness, we have so many genres already, with a 6/8 rhythm. Ooh, that's cool. That has a calm yet serious mood. The story of looking at the shining stars in the night sky and remembering forgotten dreams and identity was delicately portrayed with the sensibility of 투모로우바이투게더. The sticky groove, sexy top line, and appealing vocals combine to show the expanded musical spectrum of the five members. Yeonjun, Subin, Bumgyu, and Hyunin Kai participated in writing the lyrics. I guess Taehyun had a day off that day. So I'm curious now what direction we're going to go in on this album, because it seems like, based on that description from Melon, that there will be a bit of reflection here and looking back with, you know, this concept of dreamer and dreams not being based in reality, unless we're talking about dreams for the future and the way they're envisioning their lives. So we'll get to this video, but before we do, like, these photos are just rude, especially Yeonjun's. Like, how dare you? Okay, let's listen to Dreamer. Thought I might have smudged my lipstick, but I think we're good. Yeah, it is that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Beyond Neverland. Ooh, Yeonjun's voice is just like so great for this R&B genre. And the breathy vocals on this. Ooh. And the like full octave harmony there. That's a really cool choice where I'll go back a little bit, but you can kind of hear there's the high harmony and then the low harmony of the same note, that octave difference of kind of like these two different streams of thought perhaps that are represented by both of these vocal lines. Like you can hear the low vocals and the high vocals at the same note. And how the vocals are slightly off of the beat in certain parts. It's very like R&B. Makes me think a bit of that V solo from the Love Yourself era. Singularity? Or Serendipity. I always get it confused because Jimin has a solo as well, and there's the Singularity, Serendipity. I think it's Singularity of the kind of like whoop, 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 whoop instrumental that they have is kind of consistent between both of those two songs. Although, you know, V really kept his vocals pretty deep and rich in Singularity, whereas they're really going through their entire vocal range, it feels like, in this song. The kind of highs and lows being represented, literally the high notes and the low notes in this song, of this concept of starting over, of walking through a maze all day. I can't expect any comfort. A pity my steps have no further path and I'm stumbling. So already it feels like lyrics and thoughts expressed from Growing Pains are a distant memory, and referencing Neverland here, the dream I loved is difficult. Of this fantasy land that I was living in, it's hard to realize that fantasy. I finally bow my head in front of the dream I longed for, kind of capitulating to it, it seems. I know you, dreams are like magic, twinkle, twinkle, disappear. Shall we act like this and run away like this? Sorry, I had to do that. But it does feel like it is a reference to Run Away, because it's kind of questioning that whole attitude. Because here, I dream again, I regain my name, chase after my dream. And it's my dream, like this idea of what I'm chasing now is the real thing. I'm a dreamer with memories of stars. So kind of like what I was talking about before with chasing that feeling, it does feel like they are bringing back those little fragments of their youth into the present and into this more grounded reality, which is kind of interesting. But let's keep going with the song. Oh, oh, that. Let me break it down for you. See here, between the adult who doesn't dream and the boy who only dreams, again, that kind of like in between, almost like purgatory that they're stuck in here. Yeah, it really does feel like this is a transition album. I'm gray between the two common paths. Like, this album is making me realize how wildly eclectic my music taste is, because I love a good nu metal song, love a good synth wave, love a good classic pop song, love a good R&B song. They're just touching on so many genres.
Let me break it down for you.
And you know what? I feel like that choice of so many different genres within one album is reflective of this idea of when you're in that stage of early adulthood of trying to figure out what your identity is. Because I know as a teen, I feel like a lot of time is spent trying to figure out, okay, what is it that I want to do? What is my path going to be in life? And it feels kind of odd, you know, when you really think about it, of deciding your entire life trajectory when you're a teenager. Because, you know, for example, choosing your undergraduate degree, if you decide to go to university or to college, a lot of people can only afford to go to college once, if at all. So you kind of have to make sure that you make the right decision of what your major is going to be and what you're going to study. Like, it's a huge decision to make when your brain hasn't even finished developing yet. So I feel like that's a conscious decision on their part to do all of these different genres of being representative of that thought of, oh, I still don't know who I am as a person. And, you know, my experience, and I feel like a lot of people's experience now that I'm 31, that I'm firmly in adulthood and soon even going to enter motherhood, hopefully, is that I don't feel like I really truly solidified my identity until maybe my late 20s. And I think it takes a lot of people pretty much their entire 20s to figure out who it is that they are. And it's also interesting that 4 out of the 5 members participated in writing the lyrics for this song, because I think it does reflect the fact that they all feel like they are at this crossroads. Ooh, I just made this connection in my head of, I think that in the Chasing That Feeling music videos, they were literally dancing at a crossroads, or, you know, like a crosswalk. So again, like, so many clever choices. But importantly, I feel like I have to go back and listen to that Yeonjun. Let me break it down for you. Oh, so freaking good. And it's so interesting, this choice to do this genre for this song, because it just has this very like intimate and sexy feeling to it. So is this, you know, in a way also alluding to, you know, no longer a boy, now I'm a man, in like a sexual way as well? You know, that's their business. So if they want to talk about it, they can. But it seems like for now, it's really just very passively alluding to it. But this line of, maybe I can't help it, I'm a dreamer, I found a name, is so interesting, of, you know, finding a name, evoking this idea of, I found a name, I found myself, I found a path, or at least I'm figuring it out. So yeah, I'm just loving this album so far, and I'm just like so fascinated by the choice to do all of these different genres, and I'm really curious to see what the response to this album has been like, because I could see it not being for everybody, because I'm trying to think of anyone that I know that likes nu metal and R&B and synthwave and pop, and the only person I can think of is myself. Now they just need to throw like a folk song in, and like a rap song in, and some kind of like coffee shop pop, you know, like a Lauv or like a Han, and this will be the LC not even trifecta, because I like 30 different genres. There's very little music that I won't listen to. I think the only thing I will draw the line at is like screamo. But now I'm just very, very curious to see what our next genre is going to be with Deep Down. Sounds like some introspection might be happening regardless of the genre. So let's see. Dreamy synthesizer sounds, okay, and exciting drum rhythms. So maybe a little bit more back to our title track here in terms of vibe. Creates a sophisticated feel. Deep Down is a pop song with Jersey club rhythm and EDM. Okay. EDM would be a little bit different then. And Yeonjun participated in writing the lyrics. Like the lyrics, the difference was me and the special one and only given to me. The horns, differences that I thought I was ashamed of, can become my own crown. Ooh. So debut reference, individuality and identity, and a positive hope. The point is a mature perspective that recognizes and deeply accepts things. Ooh. Okay, so we are getting We are getting a new genre in here with the EDM, so it really feels like them exploring and figuring out what exactly that path is that they want to follow. And now I'm curious if this is going to feel like a 2023 EDM song, or if it's going to be more of a like early 2010s Zed, Avicii throwback type of EDM song, because I am just like so nostalgic for the early 2010s EDM, because my like peak partying years were early 2010s. So, you know, obviously EDM music from that time was like the soundtrack to that time. But those years are behind me now. I know partying is not for everyone, especially for introverts, but I feel like it was an important phase of my adulthood, and figuring out who I was getting getting that out of my system to a degree. So I kind of wonder if that's going to be somewhat explored, if it's an EDM song, if it's going to be like this concept of those early adulthood indulgences at all. So yeah, let's listen to Deep Down. So yeah, really alluding to the early TXT days. The horns. It's just so cool how they tie everything together so seamlessly in their universe. Like, who is you? The crown. Ooh. Okay, so this definitely feels like a more 2023 EDM. So who is this you that they're referring to? The answer is close. And you know what? Love is a big part of early adulthood and figuring out, you know, what kind of partner you need or want. Dating people who are bad for you. Figuring it out the hard way. I certainly did that. Yeah, this is very interesting. Even though it is a EDM song, it is much more subdued than I was anticipating. Because in my head, it was kind of like a party track, you know? Ooh, that was a short one. Maybe they have all been this short. I just wasn't paying attention. No, it definitely is shorter. So back from where the TXT version was the same length, but it was shorter than the other songs so far. But it was kind of funny that I mentioned like Lauv and Han, because I, in a way, feel like if you blended EDM with their type of genre of pop, that you would get this song. And you know, again, in this transition period, kind of acknowledging your roots is an important part of establishing your present and future identity. So it's kind of cool that they talk so much about these horns and the crown here. One day the horn suddenly sprouted and I felt ashamed. Even if I run away endlessly, I eventually run into myself and my horn. So, you know, we're well establishing now that running away from your problems and from growing up is not going to solve anything. And I realized that there's no me without you. And now what I can see, it's a crown. It makes me shine. And I tried running away and ignoring it, but fate is so so cruel. It's like, you can't stop the aging process no matter how much you try. And the light that brightly led me was you, who always shined on me. So yeah, I'm super curious who they're talking about here, who the you was, because, you know, I talked about it potentially being the person that you love, like finding your life partner, but it could also be almost like a mentor figure or a parental figure, and it could also be like a friend who's been there with you along this aging process. And, you know, regardless of who the person is, it does kind of remind you that the process of establishing your identity is not a solitary process. It's something that you figure out with your friends, with your family, with your life partner. The people that you surround yourself with can often be a reflection of you. But again, I really didn't feel like I established who my real friends were and like the people that I wanted in my life, not just because it was convenient and because they were there, but because I actually wanted to spend time with them until my late 20s, because it was a very formative time for me. It was the time that the pandemic happened, that I found out that I had ADHD, that, you know, I started a new job, I became a manager, I bought a home. A lot of grown-up things happened in my late 20s. I got married. It's almost like a lot of things that I was building up to in my early and mid 20s just got like tied up in a bow. So obviously they're still in the early 20s stage, but again, like I mentioned before, it feels like a transition type of album where they're building to that stage of forging that identity. But, you know, an identity and your own personal identity is ever evolving. You know, my identity didn't stop evolving in my late 20s, and it doesn't ever stop evolving for anybody really. But, you know, your awareness of it tends to increase as you get into your late 20s, at least for me. If there's anyone else out there who had a different experience, who is my age or older, then definitely let me know in the comments. I would love to hear from you. But, you know, I thought I would throw in that perspective because I almost feel like I am in the future of where TXT is in their journey right now, and I'm able to like relay information from the future. But yeah, I just love how much this album is making me think so far, now that we're halfway through, and, you know, how this idea of identity and, you know, determining your path in adulthood is going to continue for the rest of the album here. So let's go to our final song, which is Happily Ever After. So again, is this going to be potentially alluding to the idea of they thought that in this dream world they had found their happily ever after, this fantasy, this fairy tale, but now that they're in the real world, maybe not so much? Let's see here. So Happily Ever After is a Jersey Club genre song. Okay, so similar to the last song here, with a bright and optimistic atmosphere. Instead of accepting the fact that there's no happy ending like a fairy tale in reality, it sings about the heart of a boy who decided to write his own story. The addictiveness created by the synthesizer, fast-paced rhythm pattern, and repetitive vocal hook is attractive. Taehyun and Yeonjun participated in writing the lyrics. So it seems like the closest back-to-back tracks in genre on the album so far here. So, and again, a very short song. So we'll listen to Happily Ever After.
Oh my god.
Oh my god. Life is not a fairy tale. But there is that like childlike kind of, that last line, it did feel very childlike. Countless choices are mine. It's almost like they're confused. They're like, what's happening? Where's my happy ending? And it's hard for them to accept that reality. Almost knocked over my land. Life continues even when I close the storybook. Ooh. Yeah, this part feels childlike, you know. Yeah, this does feel very, like, optimistic. Excuse me. This problem with drinking sparkling wine. Hug even failure. They have these very, like, high vocals to kind of represent that optimism within the realism, I suppose. Where's Bumgu? I just noticed I don't know if he's had a line yet. I have to be honest, I feel like this song resonated with me the least so far. Perhaps it's because, like, I got so used to the novelty throughout the songs. But, you know, there were some interesting lyrics in here for sure. Like, I thought it was the main character in a wonderful fairy tale. I feel like I've been watching a lot of video essay type of things recently about people who just, like, have the worst main character syndrome and, you know, what the perils of that can be. So I kind of think of that when I see this line of, I thought it was the main character in a wonderful fairy tale. And life continues even when I close the storybook. Forever, no happily ever after. But it seems like despite the fact they're acknowledging that, there's still this idea and feeling of hope and optimism of, like, it's okay that there is no happily ever after. Like with this Huening Kai line of, I'm creating a story to write on the empty space. Okay, there was a Bumgu line. Maybe I just was not paying attention clearly, but wow, the unknown end makes my life more beautiful. And you know, this idea of an unknown ending actually being better than a happily ever after. And that it's not just one fairy tale that's happening, but 365 days a year, every day, these fairy tales are happening. So yeah, really interesting lyrics for sure. I just feel like as a song that this resonated with me the least so far, but that's okay. Every song can't be your favorite song, but that brings us to the end of part 2 here. And for this batch of songs, I think that my favorite was Dreamer because of just like that R&B grooviness to it that I really enjoyed. But I would love to hear from you what your favorite song was from this part and any other thoughts that you have about any of the other songs or the concepts that were discussed. And I hope to see you for part 3, where I'll be reacting to Skipping Stones all the way to the English version of Chasing That Feeling for our final song of the album. And I will be unboxing the Weverse version of FREEFALL. So hope you stick around for part 3 if you would like to check it out. I will link it right here. But if you are bouncing out now, hope that you'll give this video a like before you go and perhaps leave a comment as well. If not, I will see you shortly for part 3.